The public service motivations are always limited to donation of time and energy. But if you've got a profit motive to an organization, it's going to drive it. It's easy to make one song sound good or two songs sound good. All these loops are there. Everything's half produced. Everything's half done. That is the danger in people trying to think that, oh, I'm now a producer, I'm a musician.
Tell us the story of Blue Frog.
I mean, listen, we spent for that time 50 lakhs a month on programming. That's ridiculous. It now became big. So the amount of bands that became big from our early sets. So you got to start work by just doing anything. Start getting your work out there. In the beginning, it was just fake it till you make it. Every client asked me, can you do it? Yeah, well, I can do it. And then I had no idea how to do it. Then you got to go figure out how to do it. My international counterparts would take 3 days to do something. I would do it in 4 hours. I had composers telling me, dude, what are you doing? So you're setting up a school to create competitors for yourself. I was like, what?
Namaste and welcome to Music Mehfil India. If you remember the famous track called Mumbai, then you're gonna love today's guest. With us, we have Ashu Phatak, who is not just a composer, but also the founder of Blue Frog and True School of Music. He is a musicpreneur in the truest sense. Hi and welcome to Music Mehfil India. Ashu, how are you today?
I'm good. I'm very good. Happy to be here.
Okay, so Ashu, you've had a wonderful career till now and you still seem to be somewhat in middle of it, if not just getting started. You've done a bunch of things and I can't wait to do a deep dive into those things. So for you, when did music exactly begin?
First time I made something out of nothing. It was the first time I was trying out fooling around on the piano. I hated it in the beginning. I went through a lot of piano teachers which I hated. I wanted to instead go and play basketball as a kid or go outside or whatever.
How old were you?
It was like what? Maybe when I was 12, 13, something like that. And for me, the hook happened when suddenly just fooling around on the piano, I created a tune or something. I don't even remember what it was, but I created some kind of an idea that all of a sudden seemed to be born and had a life of its own, and it came out of nothing. I said, wow, this is quite something, this is, and imagine if I did this out of just without any knowledge of anything and it just came out. So that's when I started looking at instruments and started looking at them, got interested in wanting to learn to play the piano and wanting to learn about music, because to me the creation process, that idea was the genesis of it all.
What year was it when you did your first commercial paid composing to brief kind of job?
I think that was like 94, 95, something like 1995. So the story is that I went to college. I went to UPenn and I wanted to go to Wharton Business School to be an investment banker type of a person, because that's what the aspiration was at that point in time. It was the 80s. It was all about Wall Street and that whole thing was going on, right? And all my friends wanted to go do that, and then I tried to get into some good colleges in America, and I got scholarship and managed to get into UPenn, which is Wharton Business School, which I started studying there, and quickly realized how much I hated it. I hated everyone that was there because it was quite transactional, to say the least, as far as the people that you meet. But I loved music, so then I started studying, and the only thing I could find to study there was Western classical theory, and I had a punk rock band. So I was a punker. I was a hardcore punk rock. We used to do the band at that point was Sex Pistols, Violent Femmes. But I studied Western classical theory because that's all I could do, and I just fell in love with it. And then I came back, started to do a bunch of jobs, which I was bad at. And then a friend of mine asked me to do. I don't know. I think the first thing was some sort of a documentary or something like that. They said, "Okay, you got a band, right? So you can make some, just do some music for free, something like that." I did that, and then I think the first paid job was like I got paid I think 6,000 rupees to do gold spot that drink, that mango, that orange drink,
Yeah.
some commercial, and then I got paid 10,000 rupees to do a 10-second commercial for Far deodorant. I remember that, and I was like, wow, 10 grand for 10 seconds. This is something over here.
So you did your beginnings were in advertising.
I mean, it is, yeah. I mean, money wise, yeah, work wise, it was always there. I mean, and honestly, it's something that I never, at that age, I thought that, I'd be like purist in music, and I was into rock and punk and that zone, grunge and all that, And so that when you get that grunge mentality, is to wear shorts and Doc Martens and long hair, that rebellious attitude. The advertising is the last thing you think about, because it's like, and but then when I started doing it, I did one, and like, wow, this was fun, and that's when I quickly realized that the creative process, whatever the outcome is still is a beautiful, beautiful process. So if you love the act of creating something, which I love, and I'm getting paid for it, then I'm like, screw it, let's try this, and then this became my next education. Because of advertising, it just completely expanded my horizons. Because one day I had to compose a operatic track, one day I have to compose a hip hop track, this next day I have to compose a bhajan, next day I have to compose something. So you have to suddenly, the range of composition styles just started expanding and increasing, and then with that comes the interest. Then suddenly I started loving this music. I loving folk music. Started loving all other kind of music. So weirdly enough, advertising kind of exposed me to different forms.
As a young person, just starting off in advertising, just still finding your feel for creating, and it's just so much new information. How did you actually go about getting more work?
When I started, there were about 10 people doing it. Okay, there was Louis Banks, and there was Ranjit and Ehsan, Loy. There's this bunch of greats that were working in this line, and I was this young kid who just came in, and I do believe, because I studied I did almost a degree. Basically, I did 2 degrees. I just a couple of credits short of a second degree in music composition. Because of that, it was very easy for me. I mean, the genesis of True School is that, actually, because I recognize for myself that if you learn the language of music, it just becomes very easy to express yourself in that language. And so, to me, to immediately and quickly do work became very easy. Okay, and I was cheap. I was like, I was hungry for anything. So you got to start work by just doing anything. I mean, I keep telling my students now, if you want to start earning, start doing stuff for free. Start getting your work out there. The minute one or two things happen, then people hear about it. Oh, there's this new kid. He's cheap. He's good. Let's get him on board. For 25K, we can get everything done. Studio, video, everything. He'll do it. Get him in. So I started doing that, and I quickly realized I needed my own space. So I built my own studio in the first 6 months on the top of my parents' garage. We have to climb a ladder to go on top of the mezzanine of it.
This is Mumbai or Pune?
Mumbai. This is in Churchgate. And so I got this whole, I didn't know how to do it. So I got books, I read up on how to do it. I got a carpenter and studio design books I got, and designed my own studio. And then I needed equipment. So I didn't know how to afford to get equipment. So I did a little bit of jugaad. My dad bought one keyboard for me, okay, when I first started. So then what I used to do is, every time I go to America, I used to study there, I used to sell this keyboard in India, to go to America, buy another keyboard, and bring it back down, sell back. So for that one keyboard, I kept getting more and more equipment down. So I used to sell it at double the price I buy over there. And then my first studio was set up with in conjunction with like a consulate, a Russian consulate, where they imported all the equipment and I put it in there. You have to do these kind of things to start. Basically, you have to figure out a way. It was all legal, but it was a way you got to do jugaad to figure out how to. If you don't have cash, you don't have anything. I didn't come from a background where I could just have lots of cash to be able to start. The good thing was that this business paid well. Advertising business paid well. So immediately within those 6 months, I'd earned enough money to set up my own studio. The same studio, which by the way, Asha Bhosle climbed a ladder years later to come and sing a song.
Oh, wow.
This is crazy.
Even though you began in advertising, you've done a wide range of work. You've most recently also done OTT series. What has your creative process been? If there is any standard creative process.
In the beginning, it was just fake it till you make it, right? So it was, I just said, yeah, I can do it. And when a client asked me, can you do it? Yeah, well, I can do it. And then I had no idea how to do it. Then you got to go figure out how to do it. A client came to me for a bhajan
Hmm.
and said, can you record this bhajan? Yeah, I can do it. I'm like, I have no idea where I'm going to start. The client's there, the studio downstairs. I was like, listen, I'm just going to go think a bit and all. I quickly went up, looked at, put up my mom's bhajan tapes, started listening to them upstairs at home and tried to figure out, okay, what are the chord progression could be there? What is the thing? What are the sounds? Or it came back and recorded and did it. Called a good singer, Mahalakshmi Iyer. Remember, she came and sang it and it sounded great. So, client had no idea that I didn't know what I was doing. But that again, that opened up my mind to think, wow, I want to explore this stuff. Then I started doing my own research and working on that. But it's
So it starts with research.
it starts with listening, basically active listening. So I think one of the most important things in life, honestly, in music space, is to actually hear, listen to all different stuff. Otherwise, you're not exposed to it. And I feel bad now that sometimes I don't listen enough, because I get caught up in work, and so now sometimes now I rely on my team and all to give me some new sound, let me hear it, because I myself am not doing enough research, unfortunately. But yeah, in the beginning, just listen to everything, and then you also realize what people want to hear and what they expect. And I think one of the most important things in this business, let me put it this way, the musicality, the music should be a given. It's what you do with it is what's going to make you successful. So first of all, if you don't know the language of music, don't even attempt to become something more, because then you're struggling just at that level. First of all, once you can express yourself in any way, like today I have the confidence of, just throw anything my way, I'll be able to produce it. I know what goes behind that. Blues is not just those 1-4-5 thing. It's everything that goes behind it. So it's not just the progression. It's not just the 12 bar thing. It's not that. So once you understand the context behind it, then the authenticity of your expression becomes that becomes a USP, right? Then you kind of nailed why that sounds like that. And I think that requires serious listening, active listening. The fuck up right now is that you can quickly make something sound okay because all these tools are there and all that stuff. But then if you don't really know it, how are you're not gonna be able to do it for long. It's easy to make one song sound good or two songs sound good. All these loops are there, everything's half produced, everything's half done. That is the danger in people trying to think that, oh, I'm now a producer, I'm a musician. But they won't have longevity. They won't if you don't know the language. I mean, I keep saying if you just know 7 words in French, how many sentences are you going to make out of it in that language?
So you're deep into creating, composing. How does someone like that get into creating a live music venue like Blue Frog?
Okay, so I think it was probably after about 2,500 or 3,000 commercials. So after a while, Dhruv joined me, and Dhruv and me started doing it together. We were doing about 10, 11 commercials a week. Everything was great. But I got to a point where I got sick of it being about me. Something in me triggered that, like, what is this? You can just keep doing this. You can do more of this. And you can, now what more do you want to do, in the space that I'm in? I was not interested in going into Bollywood. I was not interested in going into films. I just personally was not interested in that space at that point of time. So I said, now what to do? Because now I've done this. Now, and literally, I felt like I've reached where I could reach in this, and it was getting boring. And I felt like it was time to do something which is beyond, for me at least, beyond myself. It has to be bigger than me. It has to become something that I can help society or something. Like so. That was the initial goal of setting up a a thing outside of the music composition, and that thing that turned out to be Blue Frog was very different in the beginning. I had another idea completely, and it evolved into Blue Frog before it came in, and that idea was. Uh,
Tell us the story of Blue Frog.
okay, I realized that in India everything was run like a mama and papa shop. Every
Yeah.
composer, producer, everything was just all disorganized. There's nothing. So I was on the drive to organize. Okay, because we were at the forefront of that business, right? And we saw the amount of the royalties and money and things that is possible. So I actually wanted to create a company, like a union of composers working under one company. Okay, where 80% of the market will be working from this company in advertising, and I was I was en route to make deals with like levers and with big corporates to say this is how we will structure royalties. This is how and I said that listen, if we get together and do this, I can prove that you will have your income will increase by 300%. Okay, and we had done a full business plan, and I went to everyone. I went to everyone, like all the big guys, and all the big guys said, "Yeah, we are on. This is fantastic. This is really fantastic. This is like my story from my point of view." What it involved is that you have to give 15% of your income to the company. But I kind of proved that you could make about 300% more. Okay. Verbally, I got everyone there. So I said, let me go and raise some funds. So I went to Singapore, I spoke to some potential financiers there. I raised like $1 million at that point of time to come and start this project. So I came back and and then I found a place. I said, I need a place to build lots of studios. We're going to have like 10, 15 recording studios. Every composer's got one or two studios. We're going to make this big thing. So I got this place in Lower Parel, which was empty and there was nothing happening in Lower Parel. There was only Phoenix had some little bit thing. There was no Kamla Mills, nothing. So this was a dead space. So I booked the place. I took the place, right? And this was the plan. So I came back and then when it went to sign, no one signed. Because they're like, Ashu, actually, you're saying 15%. Actually, I calculated, I pay about 4 or 5% because my wife is doing the accounts and someone is doing this, and it all got into that space. I was like, oh, fuck, you idiots. You're just not, you can't see it, right? Because they don't want to risk what they've got. This is that whole.
Did MCAI exist at this point?
MCAI did exist, but it was not. So this was not okay. So this was a private commercial venture. So this was a pure money making venture that I was setting up. It's like we all are going to make tons of cash. This is and with that we're going to establish a system. Royalty system, all that stuff, So I structured that whole thing. So, but I said the motivation has to be a profit-oriented motivation. It can't be a public service motivation because, in my opinion, the public service motivations are always limited to donation of time and energy and not. But if you've got a profit motive to an organization, it's going to drive it, right? It's going to actually make things happen. And in the end, no one wanted to sign. So I got stuck with this place. I was like, shit, what do we do? And one of my investors, partners at that time, Mahesh Matai, Mahesh and Srila from Highlight Films, I used to do a lot of work for them. So Mahesh said, how big is the place? I said, it's like big, man. It's like, the one area, just 6,000 square feet. He said, then why don't we start a club? I was like, okay, this is interesting because this now, instead of this whole composers thing, maybe we can create a separate company. Then the ideas started coming in and we created this 360-degree company where we said, let's build a recording studios. Yeah, because I need studios to work and Dhruv needs and we get composers there. So we do a part of that. Then we build a club. Then we'll do a record label. Then we'll build an artist management company. So then, then it went into that zone. So then all of that was done. All that we built. Then we raised much more money, and that's how it got converted to Blue Frog. And out of it, we said, chalo, out of these 5, 6 things, one of them will work, 2 things will work. So let's see which one works. So the club worked, and the studios worked because we had all the work, our own work happening over there.
What was Blue Frog's arc according to you?
See, so the idea of the Frog was always that we wanted to create a place that someone is inspired to perform at, that a platform that they will want to achieve, as well as a place where we'll expose people to all kinds of music that no one gets exposed to.
Yeah, you were one of the brave people who used to host metal nights.
Yeah. I mean, listen, we spent for that time 50 lakhs a month on programming for a club. That's ridiculous. It's crazy in the beginning, in the when we first started. I mean, it was so it was the first time ticket gate was introduced as a forced thing. In India, people weren't used to paying gate. It's a cover charge. So no, you're paying for the artist. So there was a tremendous uphill challenge over there, but it was to me it was a place where people can aspire to be as far as artists are concerned, and a place of exposure for the audience is concerned. So that was the main thing. And then we wanted to make this into as cool as possible, as sexy as possible. So luckily there were a lot of us. There were 3, 4, 5 of us there, and so we put a lot of time and energy into it. And I don't think it would have been very tough to do it if it was just one person or two people. So I think all of us contributed a lot.
Yeah. Who was the original Blue Frog team?
There's Mahesh, Srila, Dhruv, and me. We first started. Then I got my friend Simran from Singapore, who was the CEO, who got him down as the CEO. And Mahesh and Srila from Highlight Films. They were from the film production company. Dhruv and me from this music. So it was supposed to be, I remember using these words, it was supposed to be a catalyst for the music movement in this country, right? Yeah. And it was supposed to chubby people and change and push things forward. I think it did that. I think we were successful there as far as that is concerned. Financial success? No, I don't know. Because it's like, it was so expensive to run. We pumped our own money into it. And honestly, we didn't make much. We didn't make any money out of this whole thing. So it was almost like a...
You were just breaking even.
Barely. It was so expensive to run. I mean, if we didn't have 200 people every night, we lost money. And that's a lot to get. And so those weekends, that's when we got those massive DJs and all that stuff happening. So the weekends used to make up for the weekdays. But then we could afford to do the weekdays. I was just talking to some band right now became big. So the amount of bands that became big from our early sets. We started early sets where we used to just give people a shot. And it's...
I remember that in the green room of Blue Frog, everybody would put their stickers and, write funny things on the wall just to... And after a point, there was no space on the walls.
No. So it was a tiny green room.
So, okay, approximately how many years and how many shows?
I would say Blue Frog we did well over 3,000 shows over about 10 years.
There was a show almost every alternate day.
Every day? No, 6 days a week. 6 days a week. There was a show. So regardless, we always had that stage going on. It took a lot of drive, determination. It took a lot of passion. Basically, it's passion fueled more than anything else,
Yeah.
And to me, it was very important because it like I said at the beginning, it was beyond me, right? It was nice to be part of something bigger than just myself, and something that has a big more impact on more people than just me earning money. Yeah. So that was the motivation behind that.
Did Quarter also come out of similar motivation?
After we shut down Blue Frog, because Bombay did really well. I'll tell you, according to me, what the mistake. Bombay was really well. So we thought, okay, doing well here, we can do well in other places. We had this whole thing about getting bands on tours from all over the world. We'll have 4 or 5 Blue Frogs all over the country. So we had one in Pune, we had one in Bangalore. And we started this mega one in Delhi, okay, which was like ridiculously big. It was huge. 3 times the size of the Bombay one. Wow. And and it was very expensive to do, raise money, all that stuff. So, but that didn't work at all. That really did not work. Because say we had a band playing in Bombay. We had Nitin Sawhney performing in Bombay to a sold out audience, and he performed in Delhi. There were some 80 people there. Okay, so the economics of that whole touring thing just stopped making sense anymore because we didn't know. And I think the mistake was that if something's successful on one side, you think it can be successful somewhere else. So that's the lesson learned. But anyway, the last few days of Blue Frog was a very, I don't know if you came for that. Those 3 days, that was very intense. So that was beautiful because I just picked up the phone myself and just called every band. I said, guys, 3 days left. Everyone said yes. No one charged anything. Everyone came. The first day, everyone was celebrating. Second day, everyone was angry. Third day, everyone was crying. It was a very emotionally draining experience. And so after that, I was like, I don't know whether I want to do this again. And then again, one kida comes up. I said, like, this didn't work out, but the definition of insanity is when you try the same thing again, expecting a different result. So I wanted to, with a different team, I started the Quarter to keep the flame, the little flame of live music alive. And the idea of the Quarter was not to be Blue Frog. It was just to be like if Blue Frog was big, this was supposed to be the living room, the intimate, the very small space where we can have really beautiful like jazz and what the Tuesday night at Blue Frog was supposed to be about. To Wednesday night, I wanted to do a place like that. So the idea was to keep it small and not too intense to make it work. And
It's interesting. Blue Frog's story is actually one of success, but the venue doesn't exist anymore. Do you think it's all the red tape, the liquor license, and
that is just a nightmare. That is just, and you don't even. It's not just that. It's the cops. It's the gundas. It's just like there's a whole thing that comes with it. Yeah. And I'm Marathi speaking, right? So I dealt with a lot of that stuff. So it just became too hard to keep doing it as a public service. And right now, because it's not like, literally, I'm telling you, none of us made any money out of it. And I make money from music more than all my businesses. So that's the businesses are essentially in my head things that I want to do, which are things that are required for the nation or the city or whatever. And Blue Frog and all were part of that. Quarter, motivation for Quarter was part of that.
when you started Blue Frog, what was the live music scene in the city?
There was nothing. When we first started, there was only Zenzi and Jazz by the Bay and maybe Raspberry Rhinoceros or something like that.
Hard rock came afterwards.
Hard rock, I think, came, yeah, but even hard rock was never a scene, I think. Hard rock used to do once a week or once every, I don't know, we never thought of it as a competitor or something like that. I just think it sat in a different place. I think with what we did, at least it created that sense of, we go for movies here all the time. We go for all the other. Why can't we do live shows the way we go for movies? The whole idea was to make it into a habitual, normal thing. Hey, I can go Friday night, we can see a band. Hey, Saturday night, we can do this,
That's certainly happening now.
I hope it is. I hope it's now. I don't know. I'm not in Bombay right now much, but is it?
It does happen a lot. There are groups wherein people ask, hey, is there any band playing tonight? Any fun acts happening?
Yeah. So, I mean, I wish it would be much more because I wish that it would have taken off into like different little Blue Frogs. People would have set up. If they seen there was a vibe there. The idea was that. I was like, I would love to have. That's one business I wanted more competition in from growing the industry and market point of view.
How did True School come about?
Having been for 25 years in the production business, I've understood what a music producer needs to be, right? And then having performed a bit and with Blue Frog with the 3,000 shows, I got a sense of what it required to be a performer. And then I realized within this whole space, because I'd done both, I was like, where does one go to figure this shit out? And there's nowhere. I mean, it's shocking. And it's just like you can go to Berklee College of Music to learn music, but that has zero context to what's happening over here. I mean, I had Berklee kids working with me in production, I had to retrain them to work in our way. Chandy, who was the chief technical officer at Blue Frog, Nitin Chandy was one of my first sound engineers. He worked with me for 18 years. And then he came to me one day and said, listen, let's start the school. I'd like to do it. And I was like, yeah, I've been thinking about it. So let's do it. So what do we do now? So now I have to check out schools. I've never done education before. I have no clue how to run a school. I have zero idea about curriculum. I have zero idea about anything. So what I did is that I went on a tour of schools around the world. So I went to New York, I went to LA, I went to Boston, I went to London. And I said, okay, I like this about this one. I like this about this one. I like this about this one. Came back and wrote my first business plan as far as how the school should be. And I pitched it. And then by December, I got funded. I didn't have a place yet. By Jan, Feb, we found a place. By next September, we launched the school. So this happened in less than a year. In that year, I was my education into education. So then the school, when it first started, it was started as finishing school for professional musicians first. I said, I want to make people who are there already, let's get them skilled up, upskill them. The funny response I got from a lot of the people. First of all, I got a response. Imagine this. This is really sad. That I had composers telling me, dude, what are you doing? Because I've been composing, I'm also composing music at the same time. So you're setting up a school to create competitors for yourself. I was like, what? I'm like, this is the problem. This is the fucking problem. This is why we don't go anywhere. I was like, man, I want First of all, I want that. I want people to kick my ass because I need someone. I remember when I used to listen to Ram's jingles and I thought, oh man, what a kick-ass job he did. It inspired me to do that. When someone else did something, it inspired me to do that. I said, fuck, that is such a positive thing to have in this industry. And we all, everyone's insecure. So I said, no. So this is going to be the prime thing in this school. Every person's going to teach them everything they know and everyone's going to be open about it. True school. True school of music. So initially people thought that, I've released an album, I don't need to study. And I'm already working, getting money, I don't need to study. Yeah. So that's when we realized again, I had to pivot and I had to say that, okay, let this not be a school for people to upskill. Let it be a school for people to start from scratch. Then that picked up. There's all of a sudden, we got lots of students because, hey, anyone can join. Anyone can join. So you don't know anything, it's okay. I'll teach you from the beginning because most of the stuff you know anyway, I have to reteach you. So don't worry about it, Because all YouTube learned stuff. It's self-curated curriculums. It's very tough. You don't know what you don't know. You don't know what you're supposed to know. You just try to figure out. So the key to a good education is the curation of a curriculum. All the content is out there anyway. Anyone can, detailing lessons and all, you can just get on YouTube. But how to curate those years? How to curate that? Yeah. And the whole thing was that we come from the industry. So we know exactly what is required. So I said, I'm going to create So I got into curriculum development. I got into writing of what exactly needs to be done over the next 3 years. Because after 3 years, from 0 to 3, and it's unbelievable. Huh? We have made people from 0 to 3 working and earning money after the 3rd year doing this. And that is a challenge. So if we have managed that, that to me again is one sense already successful. Because we've got maybe over 1,000 kids now who have gone through TSM, having a life. They're earning money, doing what they love to do. So that was the goal with that. And we didn't want to initially get into formal degree education thing that we have right now because I wanted to make sure that the curriculum was exactly what I think it needed to be based on my experience.
So, a while ago, you said that you initially had people from Berkeley work on your team and you had to kind of retrain them to to work in this context. Yeah. So what really was that gap that you had to cover?
It's kind of like this. It's not this. It's like taking a pure classical musician who's only used to playing by reading and converting them into pure improv composition. There's going to be a little bit of a okay, but we do it like this, but we do this, but this is the way it's supposed to be done. This is the way I've learned it. This is my method. This is all that stuff.
Yeah.
That doesn't work here. You know, it's like when we do commercials in India, our work ethic and our work style is so radically different from anyone else in the West. When we're doing commercials, I'm doing commercials for Brazil, for China, for Russia, for whatever, all international stuff. My international counterparts would take 3 days to do something. I would do it in 4 hours. It was a very we are like this. Tell bring it in, blah, 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 do it. You know, that's why I teach speed. That's why I teach speed in the school, because you need to be able to do that. And like TSM was not about me training you to be a virtuoso. TSM was about me training you to become a working musician that earns money doing what you love to do. You want to become a virtuoso? Yeah, you keep doing it on the side. But boss, first you need to, if you want to make you want to make this into your life. I wanted to get out of the hobby space into a employable space. So I think a lot of the other schools are about just teaching you technique and all that stuff. But I want to do it to this context.
How did TSM go through the lockdown period?
So generally, an educational institute, I mean, I would say in my research, takes about 10 to 15 years to break even operationally. So you need funding to be able to do that. We were year 7 when we turned operationally profitable. It's also because we were like, as to say, we're like a speedboat. We can quickly adjust. We're like working like an oil tanker. To do something, it takes forever to turn. You know, to make a decision. But for us, we could just like screw it. Let's just change it. Let's do it. And I think that nimbleness allowed us to stay alive. It's very unfortunate that the year that we turned profitable is when the pandemic happened. And then I was like, oh God, we just did it. And now we're like, and so then at that point in time, we needed money. And then, yeah, I had to like put my house on things because we needed cash. So I kind of like to be able to fund a lot of the stuff in TSM, right? To me, it was really important that this thing works. And that point of time, we didn't know it was unknown because my rent was some 25 lakhs a month just on that space. But then we had to close it. We couldn't afford to do it. So that's when the decision was that it just so happened that I'd met Sanjay from Vijay Bhumi. He called me and said, listen, I've got this brand new university. There are 15 people in my students. Listen, I need the education to go on. I can't stop. People have paid their fees and we have to stop. And we can't do that. And we don't have a place. So that's when I made the deal to move it to Karjat, to make it a destination. The advantage of that, I mean, there are disadvantages and advantages. I mean, you're in a remote location, you're now in part of another institute, and it's got that philosophy, and you got to merge with that, and you don't have full control. But then there's also now you can get a degree, and you can get it's amazing. So all parents are very happy. And it's the first time, it's the first school. Now I'm proud of the fact that we're the only school that gives our own degree, in contemporary music and things like that. So from these small certificate programs, we got a degree. Now we're doing master's programs, and
And is it true that Vijay Bhumi students can also take music as an elective?
Yes, the cool thing there is that there's a design school, there's a science and technology school, there's a law school, there's a business school. So what's happening is that there are kids doing AI and music at the same time as a degree, right? And they're doing business and I'm very... See, with TSM, we were only about music, but I studied music and business. And I knew the value of studying beyond music, in music. The music industry, the way I see it, is not the music industry. It's every industry. We can infuse music into every industry. Now we have to think like that. Now we think like that, and if we get a head start on engineering and music, put it together, what can happen over there? What can happen with law and music? What can happen with design and music? So I want these kids to now go learn the skills of music, but to contextualize it in different places, you need to also understand and study different things. So don't just study music, study beyond that. So I think it's really important into the future, because the world in another 4 years is going to be radically different. Humanity's desire for entertainment is never going to go away. So the creators are always going to have a space, and you can use many tools that come up, AI and all this stuff. These are tools that we can use to enhance that space. But a pilot will not have a job. A truck driver will not have a job. All this stuff. So I think we are like in a really good place in the creative space. I, I think it's one of the best and most fun areas to be in, because it's I mean, it doesn't feel like work.
Yeah.
And that's what I hope for. I just wish that we can create more and more opportunity for people, because right now I get a high out of that. My definitions of success have changed over time.
What were they and what are they now?
When I joined college, it was to be a billionaire. Because I wanted to be a rich man. I wanted to be in finance world. I wanted to do all that stuff, and I no desire. That's completely gone. I have no desire for that anymore. I define success by what I had in my middle, before Blue Frog time. I defined success by what I personally achieved, financially, as well as in your field. Are you at the pinnacle? Whatever that thing, which stopped mattering to me again after a while. And now it's about what impact have you had, right? In the motivation is, it's like I don't need to get more for me. I just like to create a situation that I can have help and influence and create a positive change in a bigger way. My next ideas and thoughts are always along that line. At the same time, I just love to make music. So I'm continually doing and I love this OTT stuff. It's damn good fun. I really am enjoying it. Right now I'm working on a movie, and I'm working on a fantastic series, one of the most epic series that's going to be coming out, and it's quite special. So I'm very excited to start on that right now. They're shooting it right now. So and I love it. This is great. This is fun. This is fun because I can sit in the studio, just do my stuff, send it to a director, get back, and it's much easier than. At least I'm lucky. It's just easier that the people I'm work with don't uh, make me deal with the bad part of it, the clients and the producers and all. So I like working directly with directors.
What would you say have been your biggest challenges and the biggest rewards so far?
The biggest challenge is to keep your baby alive, and keep that going, and especially when some things are not in your control, how do you deal with that?
Yeah, yeah. I got in touch with you when it was lockdown, and I needed perspective. And bam comes, oh, music and advertising. And I see, oh, by Ashu Phatak. Okay. So I thought, okay, this is a great chance for, getting some perspective, getting some mentoring. And that's when I first had interaction with you, learned so much, but most of all had a blast. I mean, those weeks just flew by, uh, you know. And what I noticed is you were a musicpreneur in the truest sense. Now, was that something you always wanted to be, or is that like just something that happened?
I did not start off saying that I'm going to become a entrepreneur in the music space. No, everything that happened out of a necessity or a desire at that point of time. So I did not have any. I had no idea that, and I think that's the fun part of life, because I had no idea that I would be the pro vice chancellor of a university. Imagine, like no clue in my life that I would be a part of a university doing. So I have no idea where life takes you. So there was no great plan. This is just the route that has that is that I've paved and has come my way based on my experiences. And I think there are, in between this, there are also multiple other businesses which I've started. So there's some have worked, some have failed, small ones, big ones. Some technology stuff I've done. I started an animation company, all that stuff, So, and we created a rock opera. We created there's a whole bunch of shit that's also there, which has not been out. So in these journeys, it's like I like to explore and dabble into what my passion is at that point of time.
What's the story behind SingShala app?
Idea was to democratize music education and make it accessible to anyone and everyone through using technology. Because there's a barrier of faculty, right, of teachers, if you're going in scale. So how can we teach in scale and cheap or free that people can then now start their musical journey? So basically, everyone, see, you sing before you talk,
Yeah.
right? We hear lullabies. We are and humans have an instinctive desire to express, and if we can teach everyone to sing or anyone to sing, I mean, I see my dad who sings karaoke all the time. Every day he's singing, and I know how much he gets out of it. It's kept him young. So the idea was to, can we create a tool that enables and empowers everyone to learn to sing? So SingShala is a product where you can sing in it, you can learn from it. It tells you in real time what you're doing right and wrong in pitch and rhythm and all that stuff.
Okay, of all the music you've created, what is been somewhat of a favorite piece of work?
I have not been in that popular space of the stuff that I've done, not much. I mean, there's stuff like if you're looking from that point of view, stuff like Mumbai and all that was fun. One of my first songs that I did, with Javed Jafri, and then that song recently Dhruv released, re-released, Summertime Rocks with Kailash Kher. That was fun, but but I actually really like some of the stuff I did in Mumbai Diaries. Some of the songs that are there, I really like them, and the score, and even there was one show that I did which didn't do that well, I think, called The Empire. But I had so much fun making music for it. It was about the Mughals and all that.
Can we talk about Mumbai?
Yeah.
How did that song come about? Because it's impossible to believe that all of that was scripted and planned.
Okay. So Bombay Boys was the movie that I was working on, Kaizad Gustad's film. Dhruv and me were working on it. There was an idea that came about to do a credit song. I don't think the song was even in the film. I'm not sure. So Javed Jafri was brought on board, and there was a guy called Kiran Kotrial, who's a fantastic, damn funny guy. He's the guy who wrote the lyrics with Javed. We were in the studio, and I put this groove out and create. It was the first hip hop song coming out of this country, actually. I think besides Baba Segal and all, I think this was like the first, one of the first real rap, hip hop kind of stuff coming out from us. So these guys came into the studio and they started writing all this stuff. And Javed said, Kasakai Bara, I'm Mumbai. So I got his line, Kasakai. Then we put it to a groove, we put it to a phrase, Kasakai Bara. And I wrote that little tune, which was like a little quirky, making fun of a gangster tune kind of a thing, So we recorded it, we got it on board, but there was another version of the song. There was a hardcore version of the song with full galis, okay, and full galis throughout the song, and we said, "Fuck it, let's just do it." And at that time, no one did galis, and there were no bad words in music at that time. So we took it to Sony BMG, I think it was, and they heard it, and their jaw just dropped. They said, "What is wrong with you people?" Go back, you guys are kidding, you're mad. Go back. So the only thing we could keep was a khatam nahi hua chutia, and that we beeped that chutia in that thing, and then the gali started. But it was too much fun doing it, and it was like we were like on the floor the whole time. There was just I think it happened quite fast. I think it happened like in 2 days or something.
So, okay, what are your 2 cents for all the musicians who are trying to crack it as composers, as musicpreneurs, as educators?
First of all, I think everyone should have a reality check as far as who they are and what they know and what they can achieve. It's very easy to over emphasize your own abilities. If you want longevity, if you have a long career, you got to ensure that you actually know what you're talking about, and it's very easy not to believe that and not be true. So I think that perspective one has to get, because from there you can decide what you need to upskill, what you need to really, what you're good at, what you're not good at. Okay, so a reality check is the first thing, where once you get that, you're set, because then you know that you're going to only work on either what you're good at or what you're passionate about, and you're going to learn more about what you're passionate about.
Mm.
I absolutely believe it's totally doable, and this is the place to do it. I absolutely believe that the future of the creatives, India and Bombay and where we are, is the place to be. I would not send anyone anywhere else in the world, because those places are very saturated and it's very difficult to break into. This place is the place. So take be sure that you are ready, because if you make a bad impression the first time, it's going to take ages. I've had a singer come to me who was not ready. I did not call that person for 5 years. Okay, because I'm not going to take a risk. So if you're going to go and get a job that someone's paying you for, you better be ready to be able to execute that to any level and under high pressure. See, you got to train yourself to be. If you're successful in this business, you're going to have to work under high pressure. So the pressure should be fun. So when the pressure comes in, you should be like, your A game comes in, So this is how to succeed. This is what I'm trying to train my kids also right now, the students. So get a reality check. Make sure you know where you stand, and then really think about what you love and work on those 4 5 things and make a portfolio career out of that. Don't try and be something just because someone else is something. I think many people nowadays want to make it too fast, too soon. We worked our asses off for years. If they're young kids out of school saying that, hey, you're not paying me, I'm not doing it, you're an idiot, because then you're missing out on an opportunity. Because if you think that, I deserve to be paid, you prove yourself that you deserve to be paid by showing me what you do. But before you show me what you do, don't ask me to pay you. So I think it's an attitude that people need to get correct. Some people do and they're successful. But the work is there. 100%. There's tons of work there. Because even look at this OTT platform stuff, right? I mean, you can get paid, okay, chalo, I get a different fee. But even there are other jobs that pay very little, but you're still doing the job.
Yeah.
You still have a job. You're still doing a job, and you have a show reel. You got track record. That is important. And also, you're as good as your last job in this business. So don't take any job for granted. You do a crap job, you're screwed. No one's going to want to work with you again.
So, Ashu, this was wonderful. Wow, we definitely got more than what we had planned for. And as always, a wonderful conversation. I don't think I've ever had a boring conversation with you.
Thank you.
This is lovely.
I'm happy you're doing this, and I see that you're doing this a lot, and there are a lot of people that you've spoken to. So it's a great way to learn and to figure out stuff. And I think if you can help get the right messages across to the right people, thank you for doing it.